Hello, it's me, Kate here, just jumping on to let you know that we have some exciting news about to hit with the podcast. And I wanted you guys to hear it first. So if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, I'm going to be starting a subscription version of the podcast over on Apple Podcasts. So for probably the price of a cheap coffee once a month, I will be able to bring you extra resources, access to workshops, bonus material, support, really the most powerful part of my business. I want to be able to bring it to the masses, which is through the podcast, and really enable people to get this at a much, much lower cost. So keep an ear out. The subscription podcast is going to be launching in September, and I really hope you'll be joining me there. Now back to today's podcast. Welcome to the ADHD Women's Wellbeing Podcast. I'm Kate Moore-Youssef, and I'm a wellbeing and lifestyle coach, EFT practitioner, mum to 4 kids, and passionate about helping more women to understand and accept their amazing ADHD brains. After speaking to many women just like me, and probably you, I know there is a need for more health and lifestyle support for women newly diagnosed with ADHD. In these conversations, you'll learn from insightful guests, hear new findings, and discover powerful perspectives and lifestyle tools to enable you to live your most fulfilled, calm, and purposeful life wherever you are on your ADHD journey. Here's today's episode. Hi everyone, welcome to a compilation episode. I'm doing a few of these over the summer, and I am handpicking some of my favourite guests and the conversations which I know really resonated with you guys, but also with me, and combining them together to help give you an even more elevated episode, even more wisdom and insights, and bringing guests which I know have been hugely beneficial for many of you, and today is no different. I'm absolutely delighted to bring to you a compilation episode with Caroline Britton and Catherine Morgan. Now, Caroline and Catherine are actually friends. They've done some work together, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to bring them together on this episode. And I'll introduce Catherine first. Now, Catherine is a multi-award-winning qualified financial coach, advisor. She's also a financial abuse specialist, inherited family trauma healer, and financial therapist who specializes in helping women feel more deserving of holding money through somatic, therapeutic, and practical tools. And Catherine is on a mission to reduce financial anxiety and increase financial empowerment and resilience for 1 million people worldwide. Now, Catherine has also been diagnosed with ADHD. She has a child with ADHD, and the combination of all of this, of understanding the difficulties sometimes that many neurodivergent people can feel with earning money, holding money, asking for more money, and feeling worthy and deserving of earning an abundant salary. So many nuanced layers to this, and we really delve into this with Catherine. I'm absolutely delighted to share this conversation with you to compound this fantastic sort of energetic message. And when we understand the beliefs around money and the financial situations that we find ourselves in, my amazing friend Caroline Britton is the person for that. I've known Caroline for probably nearly 5 years now. Caroline's been pivotal in the evolution and the growth of my life, my business, the way I have constantly sort of up-leveled and stepped into the fear and broken down new boundaries and had to sort of look into those beliefs that are holding me back. And Caroline's been with me every step of the way. She's the most incredible coach. And she works more as like a gifted energy worker. She's a mentor to many, and she guides and is frequently described as a magic maker by those who work with her. And I can really sort of resonate with that. She really does weave something quite different to any coaches I've ever worked with. And her innate gifts are really unlocking people's connection, their potential, and the power. And I know that she has transformed many, many people's lives through this. And it's through her I've really understood about energy and the energy work, and really leaning into that to change our beliefs and our mindsets and our thoughts and our emotions. So I'm delighted to bring this kind of combination together. So first, let's hear from Catherine Morgan.
And when women have money, we do incredible things. I mean, like just the statistics around this, women, when they invest in ethical investments, ethical investments on the stock market. They don't try and time the markets. They're in the markets for longer. They're investing in companies that are supportive, not some of the sin stocks like tobacco and pornography companies and arms manufacturing companies. They do good in the world, right? So the more women that can have money and hold money means that we get to live in a better world. We get to live our most enriched life. And, you can probably tell from my tone of voice right now, I feel so empowered to help everyone to feel like they deserve this, right? You deserve wealth in your life, not being a number in your bank account. You deserve this, and you deserve this for yourself and for every single future generation ahead of us.
So how can we change this narrative if someone's listening right now and they are saying, yes, I'm the first generation in my family who is striving for wealth and to hold on to wealth and to recognize, through my ADHD, I want to feel more, like you say, financially resilient. I want to prioritize my financial well-being. I want to ensure that I'm not being impulsive. I'm not overspending. I'm understanding my wealth and my money, and I'm not shutting things down and pretending my bank account doesn't exist. Where would you start? Like, it feels overwhelming to get to that place. Like, where would you start for someone? Like, what's the beginning of their journey?
So there's a few different ways to do this. And I know that you're an EFT practitioner as well. And so one of the things I love to do is to, first of all, try and identify a core money belief. And I like to do that in the body, because when the logical mind tries to take over with this conversation, then we often end up with very different core sentences. As an inherited family trauma practitioner as well, we often will look at the demographics right back through the lineage of the family history. So we actually look at a core belief sentence, which is actually gathered by just listening to your language, things that you're saying about money. And so you could simply take, for example, what is the worst fear that you have about money? And then what you do from that point is you then dive a little bit deeper into what is the worst thing about that? They might, I might, right? And you'll get statements like, I might be abandoned, or I might not be accepted, or I might not survive, or I might let my partner down. I might let my clients down. You'll get into some more depth around those core sentences. And in the inherited family trauma space, we actually look at who was abandoned, who wasn't accepted. And that, for me, is a really incredibly powerful place to start, because a lot of the shame and the guilt that we carry around money doesn't even belong to us. It literally has been handed down through the generations. And when you can do a somatic practice of releasing some of that shame and the energy that sits around that shame, it's the most liberating experience, because no longer are you attaching that sense of identity, that past identity, to yourself. And it enables you to unlock what I would call more of an expansive energy. So rather than feeling like we've been contracted, we are able to step into this place of expansion. Now, I'm a really big believer in, we can spend many hours, many investments working on healing the past. And we also, at the same time, get to work on creating an energy that sits around where we are right now in the present moment and where we are in the future. Now, a lot of people with ADHD in particular, or if for neurodivergence, can struggle with future work because, well, it's all about today. It's living in the moment. It's that impulse. So one of the practices that I like to experience is to use heart breathing. And I'll literally, and I do this every single day, sometimes several times a day, and I'll just drop down my eyes and I'll place my hands over my heart. I'll connect into the heart's energy, which is the most powerful energy in your whole system. And I will just bring in a memory of a time when I felt love, appreciation, or gratitude. And I bring in that memory, and it could be a past memory, it could be a memory of a celebration, it could just be in that moment. in that very moment of being consciously aware of, I'm here today, this is who I am, and standing in that really powerful place. And I feel all of that emotion. I imagine it's radiating around my entire body. You can do a lot of immersive work with this exercise. And then I use that energy and I ask myself a question. And the question is, and you can be quite specific, what is required of me when it comes to my finances today? What is required of me? And what it enables you to do is to really draw on the energy of that present moment. And it also enables you to then start thinking about what energetically is something that is going to create movement. And for me, movement is really helpful in the context of money management, especially for ADHD, because the general traditional budgeting systems don't work. Even some of the apps and things that you can use to automate budgeting and savings still don't sometimes work. But when we come from a place of movement and expansion rather than masculine goal planning, things that are 10 years, where do you see yourself in 10 years' time? It's really difficult for the brain to grapple around this. So when you connect into the body, you connect into today, and you are in a position where you've closed off anything that feels energetically contracting, or able to drop into the expansion work. You feel good, your nervous system feels regulated, and then you can come from a place of, right, what movement do I want to create around my finances today in this moment? And it just gets rid of all of the needs, the shoulding energy, the waiting energy that can often be associated with ADHD. And I just think that's such a unique and very different way of looking at finances and managing finances, not looking at numbers, not looking at spreadsheets. You don't need to do any of those things. You can outsource those to the bookkeepers and the accountants that have so much joy in doing those things, and then get to focus your work on, how do I want to feel? How can I expand this into the future? Still do some healing work, right? But sometimes we do too much healing work and we can get addicted to that loop, that cycle. So it's really bringing it into the energy of today.
And now let's hear from Caroline Britton.
We have to work out what it is that suits us and take absolute responsibility. And another thing is that this isn't a nice to have, this is an absolute prerequisite for functioning to the best of your ability. And if you want to get more clarity and you want to access more guidance, you have to find and prioritize your modality for doing that. And I know a lot of us say we don't have time, but you'd be amazed how you can find it if you prioritize. And even if that's going and lying on your bed for 5 minutes with your phone off, I don't mind what it is. But what you want to be saying to the universe is, I'm intentional about creating space to be guided, to receive information from a balanced place. And this is a game changer. Like, you want to know the secret to me creating 7 figures in my business? It's that every day I will connect, I will listen, and I'll create some silence, and then I will move from that place. Like, that's a non-negotiable for me. And the first thing I do, I haven't even looked at my to-do list. I've meditated and I've connected in and I've journaled and I've been for a big walk. I haven't looked at my to-do list, and it's, what time is it now? It's 11:30. So that's the thing, is like, we have to, I promise your listeners that there is clarity, wisdom, love, peace, information that's trying to get through to them. But you've got to create the space and you've got to create the silence at some point in your day to be able to access it. And if you can do that and start with 5 minutes a day, it's a game changer.
Absolutely. And it's being intentional, isn't it? Because like you say, we can just be reactive all day and then another day goes, but things don't change until we make that decision. And yes, we can sort of have a victim-like mentality of, this happened to me and that happened to me and this person. But essentially, we have to make that change, and we have to make a decision of when that ends and this new version of our life begins, and what we want, and what we want to be calling in and being open to. And I say this a lot to my clients is like, well, what are you choosing? What are you choosing? Like, choose to prioritize your well-being. We hear huge amounts of sort of cyclical burnout in the neurodivergent community because we have these sensitive nervous systems. We're empaths. We are absorbing so much from so many different people, and we don't like to say no, and we're people pleasers and perfectionists. And of course, I'm generalizing in lots of different ways, but this is the themes that I'm hearing. And we don't think we're enough, so we're
and we don't feel
constantly
like
doing
we're
more.
worthy. That's a big
Yeah.
thing. I'm not worthy of prioritizing that. I'm not worthy
Yeah.
of feeling that good. And you are worthy. And if you believed you were worthy, how might you show up differently for yourself?
Yeah. And so I would love to say to anyone is like, where are you prioritizing this space and this time? Because when we get that, that's when we hear the intuitive guidance and the wisdom that whatever you want to believe, whether that's just you having some space to hear the clarity, I think, you said, or we're open to guidance. Because I genuinely believe that our community is very intuitive. And I've run programs based on the intuition and the inner wisdom and things that we can tune into as being empaths. And instead of on the negative side of being an empath, where we feel drained and exhausted and burnt out, we unfortunately have, lots of sort of chronic health conditions. How can we use this intuitive way of being to help us in our careers, in our families, in our relationships, tuning out all the noise and actually tuning back into ourselves? And I know that you work so beautifully like this. I think you really, really understand sort of this divergent brain. How can if someone's listening right now and they are thinking like, I'm so at the beginning of my journey, it almost feels overwhelming. Like I haven't got 5 years. And I remember when first starting to work with you, I mean, I didn't know any of this was coming, but I did want a quick fix. And I did want something like click my fingers, a big change. I want to find my purpose. I was like, I'm ready. And that purpose didn't come immediately. There was lots of U-turns and bends and detours. How can you help someone find that patience when they do want some big change?
One of the things I would do is I would have something that I say out loud every day, which is like, universe, please make everything conspire in my favor to make my dreams come true and bring me clarity into my reality today. So we have something like that. And I'd write it on this. I do this. I get my clients to do it. I write it on a book, like a A4 pad. I have it open on my drawers so I see it many, many times a day. And then what I do underneath it is I write 1 to 21 for 21 days. And every day I say that statement maybe at least 3 times, but I would say probably 8, 9, 10 times a day. This is the key. Every single day, I want you to make a note of any magic or any clarity that you've got that day. Literally take you 20 seconds. So if you go in my notebook, you'll see, and then I do 3 weeks and then I start again. Something incredible happens. Where your intention goes, it's like that energy grows. Something happens, like everything is through our, like the lens of how we perceive things. So if you're all of a sudden looking for clarity or looking for, do it from abundance or looking for wisdom or looking for magic, you'll start seeing it. As you collate evidence, within 3 weeks, things will have changed. Honestly, it's quite remarkable. So if you're right at the beginning of your journey, try that. Humour me, write that statement down, read it throughout the day, and just at the end of each day, just make a note. That's one thing to do.
What, can you just repeat the statement just in case people just need to write that down?
So my statement is slightly different than the one I gave you because you wanted something around clarity, but this is my statement that I say. I say, universe, everything is conspiring in my favor to make my dreams a reality. I request a clear sign in my reality today. I am open. I am ready. I am receiving. Thank you. I say that every day. I gave you a slightly different version because you wanted one around clarity. That's what I do. And every single day I make a note and it's like magic, 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 magic. You will be amazed. But we want to build that belief by collating evidence, and that's going to be a game changer. So that's where I would start.
Yeah. I mean, what you said then, we need to collate evidence. That's our sort of human animalistic brain of just being like, okay, well, I'm not going to believe it until I see it. And very hard, and that's when we kind of have that difficulty, because if we can't see it, then it's not real and we don't think it's working. So these little tiny signs of just maybe a lovely conversation bumping into a friend, unexpectedly, like you say, hearing a song, numbers, a book just kind of like presenting itself. Like these are the tiny little things, because it is the breadcrumbs, isn't it? It's these little tiny shifts. And that, going back to the beginning of our conversation, when we talk about energy work, that is the shift in energy. It's not this huge kind of like overnight, oh my God, massive epiphany. We're in it for the long haul. I'm presuming that that for the rest of your life, you're going to be doing this work.
Yeah. And I know that if I stop doing it and have periods where I'm not cleaning up my energy and watching my beliefs and my thoughts, that's mirrored in my external reality. And often when we're feeling better and things are going great, we stop. I see this a lot with clients. You've got to find a way to make it manageable for you so that you can continue to devote yourself to it. And I tell you what, it is there is such a joy when you realize, oh my goodness, by doing this work, it's working. Like clients say to me, it's working. Like yes, of course it is. And it starts building confidence. But what happens is we have been programmed to, first of all, like, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And I always say to my children, what do you feel? How do you feel? I want to teach them that the feeling leads, and then we can use all the brilliant stuff that we have with the brain to get. But I won't say, what do you think about that? I'll say, what do you feel about that? You get a very different answer from your children. You can ask me, what do I think about a problem in my life or making a decision? I'll say, I think I'm stressed. I don't know, Kate. I'm not sure. I'm worried. Like, what if I'm wrong? What do you feel? I feel like it's right. Very different answer. So it's having the ability to be able to do that, is to do the feeling part is one key thing, but also to recognize that in order to change things in your reality, you're going to have to start choosing different beliefs, different thoughts, because they govern our emotions and our actions. And there's so many of us in the same cycle, taking the same actions with the same habits, because we haven't gone back and said, these are the new beliefs, because we're waiting. Just start playing with this. I'm a powerful creator. I have the power with everything I do. How could I use that? And if I can start looking for the evidence that it's working, I get to lock in a new belief, because we are the product of what we believe to be true about ourselves and the world. You can't outperform your view of yourself. And that's why if you look at anybody from J.K. Rowling to Barack Obama to whoever, they've got to where they are because they've had to connect to a greater belief and an identity about what was possible for them. So when J.K. Rowling was being rejected from 10, 12 publishers, there was a belief within her that she hadn't written a silly book about a wizard that nobody wanted. She'd written a masterpiece that was supposed to be out in the world. That has to come first. That inner belief, those inner thoughts, they have to come first. The universe then responds to it. And I'm so passionate about people trying that.
I really hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you did and it resonated with you, I would absolutely love it if you could share on your platforms, or maybe leave a review and a rating wherever you listen to your podcasts. And please do check out my website, adhdwomenswellbeing.co.uk, for lots of free resources and paid for workshops. I'm uploading new things all the time, and I would absolutely love to see you there. Take care and see you for the next episode.